minutes from her house. Yeah, there's Dina. Now we can see her.
For 2,000 years. You were here before Christ. You try to think of a sense of appreciation for what you've done, your part in the reputation and the accomplishments of Menninger. I trust you will all get around to the tables around on that side to see some of the mementos and thoughts that people have about what they will miss most and what they will miss least, like paperwork and being on call and getting up at the break of dawn and so forth. That's what's going to be missed least, obviously. But I was searching through, and like Dr. Carl, it's kind of nice to look and see what other people have written who said things more eloquently than one can simply put down. I came across one of Ella Wheeler Wilcox's poems entitled "The Technique of Immortality." There hangs a picture on my wall, 3 leafless trees, dead woods beyond, brown grasses and a marshy pond, and over all an amber sunset late fall. Too frail the artist's heart to cope with all the stern demands of fame, he passed before he won a name or gained his hope to realms where dreams have archers go. Yet in a modest little square of canvas that I daily see, he left a legacy to me, something rare, far more than what is painted there. For tree and grass and sunset sky hold subtler qualities than art. It is the painter's pulsing heart that seems to cry, I love these things, they cannot die. And so they live, to stir and move each gazer's soul, because they speak of something mightier than technique. They live to prove the immortality of love. They speak this message day by day. Love. Love your work, or small or great. Love, love, and leave the rest to fate. For love will stay when all things else pass away. And indeed, your love will stay. And I was reminded of the closing paragraph and that remarkable legacy document that has been authored by Drs. C.F. and Will and Carl many years ago, and was not to be opened until they all had passed on. And the final paragraph of that says, "We have surely not touched on everything. We have omitted all discussions of the direction of expansion or the limits to such expansion. We've had nothing to say about ideals which we have taken for granted in regard to a good name, good credit, fair purchasing, equitable charging, and courtesy, dignity, and so on. We have little fear that these traditions will be departed from. A certain spirit develops in an organization, and this spirit has a kind of immortality all its own. Dedication to the relief of human suffering does not appeal to little people. The kind of workers that walked under the trees and sat in the rooms of this institution have long since been infected with an idealism and purpose which will carry on long after all of us have fallen asleep. This is already clearly perceptible. The vision of Dr. C.F. has been realized. Not only he, but all three of us could, like Simeon, praise God and say, Lord, now lettest thou thy servant depart in peace according to thy word. For mine eyes have seen thy salvation, which thou hast prepared before the face of all people, a light to lighten the Gentiles and the glory of thy people, Israel. That's a powerful message of that tradition which you have been such an important part of. And now retirement. But I pulled out a couple of other words that I would like to share. Saul Gordon is a clinical psychologist who has written a number of provocative thoughts, and one of them he titles, It's Never Too Late. It's never too late. And Dr. C.F. used to give all of his grandchildren and others on our birthday a card with a poem from the Sanskrit, which was quoted in Dr. Osler's A Way of Life, which is entitled The Salutation of the Dawn. He always inscribed at the beginning of it some words that were not part of this poem. He began with firm faith in God, and then listen to the exhortation of the dawn. Look to this day for his life, the very life of life. In its brief course lie all the verities and realities of your existence, the bliss of growth, the glory of action, the splendor of beauty. For yesterday is but a dream, and tomorrow is only a vision. But today, well lived, makes every yesterday a dream of happiness, and every tomorrow a vision of hope. Look well, therefore, to this day. Such is the salutation of the dawn. Again, God bless you. Muchas gracias. Merci beaucoup.
I suppose to be proper Japanese, I should bow. But I would do so with all sincerity to you because it's you that we are honoring. Thinking about what to say, I recently wrote about retirement for this booklet that you hold in your hands. It includes so many familiar names and faces of people who just retired. This was very difficult. Having to do that brought me squarely up against the thought that I think most of us have tried hard to ignore. The retirement is leaving. And the retirement really does mark the end of the chapter. For years, our intermittent policy of hiring retirees back has been helpful to the organization, but it's permitted many of us to pretend that retirement is really not the end of anything. The familiar faces won't be in their usual familiar places. Their familiar voices won't be answering usual familiar calls. There'll be an unfamiliar sense of loneliness in parts of the organization. It's more than just difficult. It risks feeling made up and a little bit phony. But even sad moments like these have good parts. Departures can become times for reflection. Maybe times to recall how good our associations together have been. How productive have been our relationships. How much we've relished the warmth, the pleasure of so many of our contacts, our conversations, our exchanges. And maybe to realize what an important part of our adult lives, the friendships and the working together in this organization have been. Without a doubt, this is what many of us who remain will be thinking. Perhaps for those who are retiring, there'll be some positive thoughts, and then the sad ones as well. A realization that greater longevity that we pleasantly do share means new opportunities for some new activities, or maybe programs too long postponed, put off for many, out of some nameless apprehension. But work is the only thing we know. How can anyone learn anything new at this stage? And you can fill in the this with any number you have. So retirement, both for those of us who are leaving and for those of us who are not. It's a time of old endings and new beginnings. A time of concern for us all. Will those who leave find new styles of living as satisfactory as the old ones? Will those who remain adapt to the diminished sense of permanence and stability that our longtime employees have so substantially provided? Will each of us find some satisfaction and some new growth in the changes we collectively confront? I think so. But I know it won't come without recognizing some sense of all of us having lost something. Each of us has our own private task to do some grieving, some considerable readjusting, and to make some energetic efforts to accommodate the changes that these times have brought us. The hallmark of quality of this place, this great place, our commitment to the healing power of relationships, will help us each here too. Even though retirements bring departures and separations, the intimate associations we value will stay on, with us in memory and spirit, and maybe most of all in the satisfaction of having been a part of a remarkable place that does very important work. Those thoughts should sustain each of us, those who are retiring, those who remain. Godspeed and fond wishes for a fulfilling future to all of you. From all of us who have known you, who've treasured you, value you, and know that you take a small piece of us and this place with you, even as we keep a part of each